Good day to you. A pleasure to have you here, and I hope that everyone is having an exceptional day, especially with the release of the new content creator packs. I think everyone can agree that the new keys are simply amazing, and they come with an extra feature where Sims can walk on the upper and lower levels. This is Captain Ahvious, and welcome to the advanced guide to coastlines using piers and quays. In this episode, we will make excellent use of the pedestrian quay walkways, and we will also explore design ideas for waterfronts. This is the progress of our current city, and you'll notice that the coastline design includes the default quays that is followed by a line of trees and some fencing to make the journey much more pleasant. While at the pier areas, I've included some light manual detailing. This is now considered as an obsolete design, to which we will modernize by making great use of the new quays to improve upon our waterfront design. Before we start, let's look at the current stats of Fisher Enclave City. We have a bank of 13 million with an extremely healthy positive income. Our current population is at 60,000 with a traffic flow of 94%. And a reminder that this is without Traffic Manager mod. We are also at about 10,000. Yep, at about 10,000 before we reach the final milestone and unlock the ninth and final tile. Our population change is quite healthy. The city has not suffered any major death waves, and we will do our best to maintain these stats until we reach at least 100,000 population. And lastly, the city does not appear to be experiencing any major mishaps. There are minimal to no complaints. I don't see any not enough goods or not enough customers. As you can see, alerts do appear, so that means they are present or they are active. These alerts here are just delivery delay, so I'm not too worried about that. This is also just a delivery delay looking for a customer. If there's a whole ton of not enough goods, then that's when I will be concerned. But so far, this is there. You see, it vanishes eventually. What else is there to look at? Hey, we were leveling up. Yes, so our campuses are here. I was kind of splitting them apart. As you can see, the stars are dividing themselves. If you were here in the previous episode, and we're also in the process of upgrading our other parks, so try not to worry about this side. This is just for upgrades. Our city is mainly here, and so far it is all healthy and quite good. So let's get to replacing these default keys. We will utilize the simple seawall with fencing and built-in pedestrian path. Oops, that was a mistake, but no worries. And I will just do this for now. And theoretically, these park assets should be able to snap onto these pedestrian or these key walkways. But unfortunately, as you can see, the snapping kind of bugs out and it doesn't even want to get near that, which is unfortunate. But there is a vanilla solution. Of course, with Move Mod, that is not even a problem. But again, there is a vanilla solution. So first, what I want to do is I actually should expand that area. And we will simply just revert back to the normal key or default key and shove them onto it as so. And then that is when we can upgrade it and then it should work. However, sometimes this happens, so it does not make sense. However, there's still a workaway around that. That is by placing I remove the snapping. I have a shortcut, so this is with snapping, this is without snapping. I will just connect them together, and there you go. Now it works. So that is how to get your park assets attached to the new keys. And now we will continue upgrading the keys along this side. So here I want to like move this boat museum to be on this side. But first let's upgrade this. Yeah, don't mind the pathways of all the fishing ships. We will definitely fix that at the end. And I will also need to start deleting this because that will also get in the way. So let's pause the game for the moment. And this, we're gonna try to do something interesting. So on this side, as you notice, there's like this wide open space, and it would be really neat if we could do something different instead of just upgrading the key with the same exact type. So this is our measurement. So I'm looking at it. It contains about this same area. So I will remove this and I will delete that, delete this. And we are just going to add just, oh, oops, this guy is in the way. Excuse me. All right, so I am going to just add it in as close as possible from there. And then here also make keeping it straight, and then we're going to be using the other key. So we're going to use the city key wide, and I will connect that together, and now we have this little neat thing. Then we'll add in the boat museum just to be right in front of that. This is the city hall, and then I did my manual detailing there. So now we have something interesting here, and the only thing that is lacking is assets, at least to break that border, that harsh, immediate like cut. So let's add in some uh, park keys, or I mean piers. So we got that one, and we're not gonna use the same exact thing. We want to mix it up a little. And there you go. So at least now this looks much more interesting to the way it was before. And now on this side, I will, let's see, we'll just move this aside. We're going to try to do the same thing. So here, we will upgrade it until on this side. So I'm going to be using that same key, that citywide key, upgrade. And here I will manually place that so that I can control the distance. So I want it just a little bit there because I made this little design there, and it's gonna be a waste to just delete it. So we have this little weird thing, but when we put back our ferry pier, should snap onto it. It just blends in. Look at that, and it's so sharp, so nice, tightly snug. And now we only have this to worry about. So this assets, the ones with the marina, does not look good when it's on top of there. You do not want that. So it is best to put them on the sides. Something like that. That is much more pleasant. And just use something different. These ones usually look the best. Or actually, let's bring it a little closer just so that it borders there. So I'm going to move her aside. And there we are. So let's see. And now this side. So we want to continue decorating. Oh, wait, I should probably connect this. All right, so back to this. The thing that's bugging me about this is how completely redundant this is, and I would like to decorate on in front of the piers, but it is honestly extremely time consuming. So let's actually use zoning, and that should still work. So this is my idea. I'm going to first delete all our fencing, and then we are going to zone individually or select areas uh, for commercial to pop in. So the zoning is actually quite random. I don't want to have a actual pattern like how many trees before the next one. I want to keep it completely it will keep you guessing on how many we're gonna have. And now we kind of decorated it by not doing actual asset planting down. If any of the buildings seem redundant, just simply delete any of them, and they should build something else, hopefully. If not, then just kind of break it by putting an additional one, and then after that we could just add in our fencing. Unfortunately, this side we cannot zone anything, so we have no choice but to continue the line of trees, but everything else should look pretty good by breaking up that pattern a little bit. So it's kind of the same thing, but at least it changed ever so slightly. So now when we travel here, we have this neat tree line of trees and then some buildings, and you can also reach there and then just keep going. Hey, look at that. Look at the people using that. Just try to ignore that they could phase through walls and flooring apparently, but either way they are using it now, so that is absolutely awesome. So now here, I also noticed that I have the key tree, fence, and then road pattern. So I made this intentional just to break that up. So the reason why I have this is because the key is actually a guide on adding these ferry piers and fishing harbors so that they are perfectly aligned. So that is why they are there. But if there is a place where there will not be any of those things, then that is a good spot to kind of add in a park, and it would be appropriate because this area here is lush with plants, or trees, so it'll be good to actually just continue that going downward here instead of having just more of the same road going along the coastline. Oh, just look at the people using that key already. That is totally awesome. Oh, look at that view. Oh, it's a little dark, so we're gonna cheat a little. Sorry to all the vanilla players, but we got the power to change the direction of the light. There you go. Definitely much better. So that doesn't change the actual game, just improves the overall visual aspect of looking at the city. So here, let's kind of do the same thing. Let's break this up by adding some zones. Other than improving the key designs of our waterfronts, I also like to consider on how busy the rivers function by adding ferries and fishing ships. It is, after all, the movement and activity that makes your city come alive. The sole purpose on why I wanted to build on this map was because of the rivers. This is the first city that I've completed on this map, and you just got to adore the bustling activities in the rivers, and we will carry this idea to our YouTube version of the city. We of course would want to add in ferries, which are the second largest ships in the game next to cruise and cargo ships. The ferry routes are incomplete because it was only recently that I was able to unlock the northern tiles. And now that majority of the game tiles are unlocked, I can proceed to plan the positioning of the ferry and fishing piers. I like to space out the ferry stops about one game tile apart, If the stops were too close together, a sim may just opt to walk or drive, and there's also the danger of having ferry traffic. Regarding fishing routes, again, just to make the river look busy, I try to occupy as much water as possible while trying to reduce the amount of ships that would collide into each other. We will definitely need to reroute our ferry and fishing ships because you can see how this fishing route is colliding right into the boat museum that we just added. So yeah, and since we need to reroute this, I also need to move this out of the way because you cannot upgrade this key wall unless it is absolutely empty. So yeah, that's a good opportunity. And since we're doing that as well, I think I want to rejig this area. We want to move the fishing harbor back so that there's more room for our ferries to pass through. And yeah, so we're gonna expect a lot of flooding, and since there will be floods, I am going to go ahead and put in a temporary pumping station right here so that the flooding would be removed as soon as possible. And of course, before you move the fishing harbor, you want to delete the route, otherwise you're gonna suffer by having to manually delete all of that. So we'll move this aside, and now I want to extend this there, but we also want to push this back while also looking at where the pillars are for our bridges and railing. And so you want this to go in between, so around here perhaps. That is a oops, it touches that one, and we definitely do not want to try to move that highway bridge, so I will move it back just one unit. And now this is in the way of our key that's gonna be going along there. Let me just delete all of this. And we also want to delete the fences and all the trees, otherwise the trees will go underwater, which is not something we want. So let's delete them now. And it appears that we lost power. Let's make sure that this is connected. So this is going to be a temporary solution. Okay, so let's pull everything back. Now this, before we terraform and move that, I also want to move the actual node. So in order to do that without moving mod, all you gotta do is just create a new area. So wait, let's just delete this. I think here, nope. That would do, then delete the one in between, then reconnect them together, and now that node has been moved. Hopefully this will also work on this side. And it does work. There you go. Alright, so we appear to be having issues of this. And also, this is not what I had in mind. We're gonna have to redo this so that this looks more proper. So I'm going to extend this all the way. Yeah, this thing without moving mod is definitely a nightmare to deal with, but it is still workable. Alright, so hopefully this is something we can work with. And there you go, now it's fixed. We have this, which looks, it's a little off. What are we gonna do? Are we gonna try to fix that? How crazy are we? Or am I? Let's not drag you along to this. Hold on, there might be something we can do just to hide that. Um, nope, that does not work. No, that does not work either because it starts a curve. That is gonna bug me so hard. Let's see, is this acceptable? Can we accept that? Just that little thing there. Let's see if we can try to fix that with this. No, it does not work. Sorry. But you know what? It actually works on this side. Let's see if we can find something else here. Let's try the seaweed farm. Hey, there you go. That's definitely less than before. And yeah, we worked around it by putting something else. So, and I'm definitely happy with our results here. Let's clean up our terrain just to show that. And you'll notice that I used a different type where it has a staircase here, which is definitely neat. There'll be more floods. And now let's connect the roads together. I am actually quite happy. Um, I would not be able to get good night's rest if I saw that. This is a little curve. You know what? Let's just go straight. I mean, that is already at an angle, so yeah, that's fine. This isn't too bad. Not as bad as before, so it is acceptable. And there you go. At least this is now fixed. Yeah, so we have, I placed this instead of the other one. And the reason why I did not use this to this area is because the staircase sometimes it would like appear on this side. And so this might be much more appropriate, which I think it is. All right, let's continue populating this area. Side, there should be a park. What kind of park is this? This is a what? No, a district park. No, there is no district park. Wow, I have not been making things into a district for a while, but actually it does not matter as much simply because I don't actually use policies. We could remove this now. We could remove the education boost. Yeah, let's go ahead and continue populating this area by creating some zones here. And we also need to move this. I want to bring this a little closer because the gap in between would be too wide. On this side, this is also a large gap, but it is kind of camouflaged by this bridge here. So this one here is acceptable. That is acceptable. But this distance will be a little too much for me. So I want to bring this a little closer there. And this area would just keep it completely open. There doesn't have to be a pier everywhere. Oh, yes, again. So I want to create this district as a. It's not applied there. As a local and organic produce, because if you do this, only these guys will appear. And actually these are local and yeah, so these are the types of zoning that I want along the coastline, so we're gonna try to maintain that. And again, my zoning is a little messed up, but it serves its purpose, and that's all that matters. If there are any issues, like if I need to add more things here, then that's when I'll add them in. Well, that's a little off, but I'm not sure why we can't control it. I'm gonna try one more time. Well, I guess this is where it'll go. So at least we have a measurement of where that wide key will go. So it's only about up to here. So let me create a marker. Um, Put it around here. Oops. Alright, so offline I am going to check if the fishing route is at 100% efficiency or over. And yeah, I'll do that later on. But for now, let's just continue this. So yeah, these are the buildings that I'm definitely looking for. And there we are. That's our coastline on this side of the river. Now that we know how to attach parks onto the new quays with walking paths, we will now utilize both the upper and lower levels of the new walkable quays. However, before we do that, I will need to pacify the demands of the city, which are to zone more residential and commercial buildings. Along the upper level of this coastline, I will prepare high-density residential road networks, while on the lower level will be our commercial areas. Flooding is given whenever you play City Skylines, hence why I avoid zoning any residential along the coastline. Therefore, I at least make certain that when I do zone any residential, that they would at least be elevated, thus avoiding being demolished by flash floods. In order to add quays onto land, I first had to terraform the coastline and pull it in just enough that I could add in the new quays with stairs. Then after I added the quays, I simply refilled in the coastline so we would have a lower level for our commercial buildings. Notice how I've prepared the blocks for high residential zoning, yet I did not fill in all the blocks immediately. When zoning high density, zone slowly and gradually, otherwise you may suffer a death wave. Instead of having the road parallel to the coastline, I mixed things up a little by making a larger space between the road and quay for park paths and assets. It is important to change things up a little in order to keep things unique and less predictable, yet consistent. I was utterly delighted on the release of the new content creator packs because it covers majority of the things that I have been concerned about regarding vanilla gameplay. For instance, I have always encouraged other mayors to lower the coastlines, especially when placing down ferry piers. But with the new quays, it is no longer 100% necessary to lower the coastlines. Instead, you can now create various levels with quays, which adds variety to the gameplay. I also recently published a YouTube video regarding making bridges, and now I have showcased the vanilla bridge with dual suspensions because the vanilla gameplay lacked bridge alternatives. Then coincidentally, we now have many new and fun bridge options to choose from. During the release of Sunset Harbor DLC, I was delighted that they made elevated metro stations, but was disappointed that they did not make any elevated train stations. In the new content creator pack, the new train stations are not only elevated, but now also comes with its built-in bypass tracks. And lastly, I have also avoided making any sort of tunneling in all my city builds. Then I just find it more challenging and much more visually appealing to have above ground rail transportation. Then they release awesome underground tiered level metro stations, and these stations are too good to pass up. Now I have to make at least one new city using these new subway stations. You'll notice that I've made these 4-lane roads with tram tracks, although I have yet to utilize any tram routes. That is honestly a mistake on my part as a presenter. And I should apologize because when I create these routes, I should use them immediately and showcase how they work so the viewers would know why I've placed them there in case there were anyone following step by step on recreating the city. So, yes, that is my fault. However, since the new bridges have been released, I now have to change my plans and create alternate routes for the tram tracks. But I have to keep in mind that in the future, I should connect all of them together so that it makes complete sense to everyone. I think everyone can agree that these stairs just looks absolutely amazing. But let's check if they function as intended. Okay, so the pedestrians are able to move up and down the key levels, but not as we would have hoped. Either way, it works. I suppose that is all that counts, and it's not something that we can control vanilla wise. So let's check out how the scene looks at night. I love how there are street lamps directly on top of the staircase, and that is a really neat touch. Regarding the forced park assets, the key walking paths, take note that there have never been any visitors in those assets, but they can still serve to make the keys more visually appealing. It still lights up and it looks great overall. We still have the other side of the river to upgrade the keys on the coastlines, but we will save that video for a future episode. I want to create a proper fishing area and I want to create a beachfront in front of the tourist hotels. Subscribe to be notified when that video is published. Until then, this is Captain Ahvious. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again in the next episode.